This is a severe weather update from CBS 11, your Texas weather experts.
Thank you for joining us on Facebook Live as we are just following some severe weather moving across the Metroplex. Let me take you right to radar right now, and you can see the strong thunderstorms and the warning boxes that are in effect for them. As I'll put a stop to the radar, look a little bit closer. Now there's two warnings, one out on this thunderstorm that's over White Settlement. You can expect some large hail with these. In fact, as I move over towards looking at the hail, we're going to be able to see that there is some chance that there could be hail as much as an inch to inch and a half in size over White Settlement right now. There have been reports over from a storm that's just up towards the north of this of nickel-size hail at least, but golf ball size hail possible, at least being indicated by radar up above the ground on there from the storm in White Settlement. Now I'm going to put a track on this hail core, not the storm, but the hail core itself, because that's going to be the major threat right now. There are some 60-mile-per-hour winds, so that's a problem. But as it's moving off at about 26 miles an hour, there is some locations for the severe weather that is moving over White Settlement and Lake Worth now. It'll be in Saginaw by 7:27 and Holtom City by 7:31. So heads up. I know they're trying to play some football here on Thursday night. This is coming into North Richland Hills here at just after 7:37, and I know they're playing a football game there at Birdville High School. As you go up into Roanoke, into Keller, same situation. They're playing a game in Keller right now with this strong thunderstorm headed the way. You're going to hear the lightning hear the thunder, excuse me, from the lightning as it's approaching in. So there's a little heads up for you. Now, there's another thunderstorm warning, this one until 8 o'clock. This thunderstorm warning is for the thunderstorm over by Pelican Bay. I'll switch over to reflectivity, and you can see there's actually two cells, one up towards Ponder, moving into Ponder, and one getting ready to roam into Justin. Now, as we look a little bit at velocity on this one, what I've noticed on this is some strong winds, some outflows right around Rome, and some strong winds probably just ahead of the storm right here in Ponder and Justin. These could be 60-mile-per-hour winds. So we'll move it back over to reflectivity and zoom out just a little bit. I want to put a track on this bigger cell that's coming out of the southwest near Azle. That has produced some hail that has been reported to be close to quarter-size hail. There was a 3-inch stone supposedly in White Settlement. We'll wait to see that. We'll have to verify that, but that would be a rather large hail for considering the situation. We'll wait to verify that. This storm up here over by Azle is moving closer to a little over 30 miles an hour. So there's some arrival times for you there as we talk about this storm. It is also producing large hail and some strong winds, so we have to be continuing to watch all these storms really for the hail threat as the storms have ramped up rather quickly. Center point 721 in Rome by the time we get into 721 as well. I'll show you some of the other ranges from this as we are dealing with this thunderstorm. You know, I think that most of these thunderstorms are going to have a hail threat with them and a wind threat. That has been the main concerns with these storms throughout the night, throughout the day, as they were due to develop just right around now and become a major threat. So there's some thunderstorms that are moving out of Hood County now, heading across parts of Palo Pinto and Parker County. We see some strong thunderstorms, of course, in Tarrant County and moving into Denton, but the only warnings are on these thunderstorms that we see over by Benbrook or moving towards Benbrook that are right over near downtown Fort Worth and also headed up towards the Denton area. Now, I want to show you on Max 2. This is the thunderstorm watch. It's in effect till 1 in the morning. So this threat's going to go on for a while. Can we take the Fort Worth camera, because downtown Fort Worth, we're watching the storm coming in from the west. This is a thunderstorm that is producing some hail. I've been trying to reconnect with our Jason McLaughlin, who has been out there, and we're having trouble because he was right in the storm and we lost connection. We have trouble now getting him back online. because he is in the midst of that thunderstorm that is in parts of Tarrant County, and his trouble getting the signal out. Hopefully we'll be able to join Jason here shortly and see what he is seeing as far as this large hail that has been reported. Again, let's go over to Ville density, and in purple, that is the radar reading the ice that's in the storm and trying to estimate its size. And at least above the ground, we got egg-size hail that is approaching downtown Fort Worth, and then above Eagle Mountain Lake, we have marble-size hail that is again moving in towards Denton County. This storm that's over by River Oaks and White Settlement, that's the one we're getting some reports of some large hail, at least quarter-size hail for sure. There's been a one hail of teacup-size hail, but that is, we'll just wait again to confirm, because that is just extremely large hail given this situation. But it is certainly in the realm of possibility with these thunderstorms developing so rapidly and likely having very strong updrafts. So with that in mind, this track you see right here, this is the thunderstorm that we think will be the biggest threat for large hail. It's right now over Lake Worth, and it's moving up towards the northeast at about 35 miles an hour. Well, excuse me, it's closer to 30 miles an hour now. As we narrow the range a little bit, you can see some arrival dates. It should be in downtown Fort Worth in the next 10 minutes, or at least in the northern part of downtown. It'll be in Haltom City by 7:34, and its current rate in North Richland Hills there at Birdville High School, 7:41. Again, they're playing a football game there. They're also playing a football game up in Keller, and you've got about the same time frame, somewhere around 7:30 to 7:40 this is coming in. Steve, if we could try to set up our Facebook comments here on one of the monitors, I'll try to see if we're getting other reports of large hail in the White Settlement area that has been reported. As I move back over to reflectivity, I'm going to put this in motion. Now, this is the last 30 minutes. Let me show you just the last 2 hours. And you can see nothing was going on. Nothing was going on. Then suddenly at about 6:30, all this started. There's been a lot of lightning with these thunderstorms. You can see again, as we were talking about 5 o'clock, there was no lightning strikes. And then suddenly, as we've gotten here just in the last 30 minutes, we have a lot of strikes. We have a lot of lightning going on, and so you're hearing the thunder from these thunderstorms as they're quickly starting to line up. And when I say line up, what I'm talking about is that this area right here, these thunderstorms will likely fill in and then just start really heading into Collin County, into Dallas County as strong thunderstorms with not only large hail, but a wind threat as well. So now in White Settlement, we're getting reports of penny-size hail and reports of dime-size hail in White Settlement. Earlier, there was a report of very large hail, but this seems to be a little bit more in line to what the radar is seeing, at least. But we certainly are seeing the lightning. We certainly are seeing some brief heavy rain and some small hail. And as I change over to velocity, kind of inside these storms, though it's a little hard to tell, we are seeing some strong returns that suggest that winds are getting close to 60 miles an hour. Where is that? You know, somewhere around Rome and the Boyd area, probably up here towards Ponder, North Lake. We're getting ready for these winds really to start picking up. Probably also as we look down into Fort Worth, of greater concern actually because of the higher population density here, probably over by River Oaks and Lake Worth. This is some strong winds that will be moving to Saginaw, downtown Fort Worth, and near the stockyards, Watauga and North Richland Hills and Colleyville and Bedville and Hearst. That's where all this is headed, these strong winds, and also the hail risk that is involved with that. There is the strong thunderstorm right now over by River Oaks, and give you a little bit better idea. This is just over by State Highway 183, you know, by River Oaks as it heads towards 199. There's your update here. It's updates about every 2 minutes in severe mode. And you can see from Lake Worth over to River Oaks, that's where the strongest thunderstorm is right now. Some very strong winds likely. There's a thunderstorm warning out because of this cell. There's a thunderstorm warning out for this cell in Rome as well. and it continues to march off towards the northeast at about 30 miles an hour. So we'll continue to watch that one as well, though it is moving up towards New Fairview and Justin, North Lake, and Ponder up in Denton County, North Lake and Denton County. That is likely going to have some very strong winds, and the reason I say that, you see how clear that edge is right there? That's usually an indication of very strong winds that are going on. Again, we're trying to wait to see your comments, and again, if you're experiencing any of this hail that's being reported over parts of western part of Tarrant County, southern parts have really been clear here so far, but out to the western half of Tarrant County, downtown in Fort Worth and up the 35 corridor, we're seeing these thunderstorms closing in on North Richland Hills, Hearst, Bedford, Colleyville, and Keller. These thunderstorms that over by Rome have some strong wind signatures to it. They're headed up towards Ponder, North Lake, and Denton County. And as I look at velocity, I'm going to circle that area of high winds. That's where it is right there. That could be 60-mile-per-hour winds plus from that. So these thunderstorms, this right here, let me circle it again for you, that we see over by Fairview right there. That is going to be in Ponder, North Lake in about 10 minutes, and then in Denton in about 15 to 20 minutes. So buckle up the hatches there, button up the hatches, excuse me, and certainly be ready to be indoors when this comes through. These are some severe thunderstorms. We have not seen this activity in a while, have we? We haven't had officially any measurable rain at DFW now. Well, in 41 days, so we're going to have that change. Again, I'm going to reach out to Jason McLaughlin. We're trying to get him back online and see what he's seeing, but I just can't seem to get any help here from my own computer trying to get him back into our Google Hangout that we use to send video back and forth. And so he's not seeing our radar, and we're not seeing his signal. That is the thunderstorm activity that just has left Hood County that's headed into Benbrook. That doesn't look severe right now, but certainly this cell that's over by Fort Worth is looking severe. Now, update you on this one. The thunderstorm warning's in effect till 7:45 on this one. It is stretching from Lake Worth, River Oaks into just northern part of downtown Fort Worth and up towards the stockyards. It is almost into Melody Hills, Haltom City, NRH now. It is moving in towards Saginaw and Watauga as well. You can expect some very strong winds and perhaps even some penny-size hail to nickel-size hail. There we are. We've got some reports coming up. We'll try to fix the magnification there so we can read it a little bit better. But golf-size hail reported by the radar over by the River Oaks area. Earlier this was over White Settlement, and they were getting reports of dime-size hail, nickel-size hail there. So nothing severe in that size, but certainly the threat exists for some severe weather. Hazel got quarter-size hail according to some of our watchers that we're getting information now off of here on Facebook. So thank you for sending your information in. And Cheryl, yes, we're going from summer to winter. I know we're covering severe weather right now, but I tell you, the story is going to be after the severe weather threat is that how temperatures are going to drop 40 degrees overnight. We're going to wake up with temperatures in the upper 40s with some strong winds. Some of the other reports we're getting is Marcus in Argyle saying that the skies are getting dark. That might be an earlier report because that has actually been going on, these thunderstorms over by the Argyle area. This is, again, a wide view, and I wanted to start off with a little bit wider so you can see the stuff coming out of Mineral Wells. Now, kind of what's going on here is that we have a cold front that's coming through. And this colder air is lifting up this very warm, humid air that was been in place for, well, since basically September 1st. We haven't had any rain since then. Just some hail. Ben's reporting some hail along Las Vegas Trail in downtown Fort Worth there on the west side. So this front is firing up these thunderstorms. I know we've lost the heating of the day. It won't matter. The temperature change is so significant behind this front that we're going to see this huge drop in temperatures. In fact, if we can we take live Doppler real quick? Because I have temperatures up on that. And what you're going to see is right here, I'm going to circle 77 degrees over by Bridgeport right now, 77 degrees and dropping rapidly. It's still in the 90s in Dallas, so you can see where the front is. It's somewhere right around here and helping firing up this storm. So let's get back to links, and you can see, let me clear that front I just drew and put this in motion. There's your thunderstorms. Moving over by Mineral Wells, there's the stronger thunderstorms with the severe thunderstorm warnings out parts of Tarrant County and Denton County. And the threat bound here has been with large hail, maybe up to an inch size, and winds up to 60 miles an hour. That's why they put out these warnings. We're just watching carefully for reports and see what's coming in as far as the hail size and these winds. We haven't seen anything necessarily that clarifies or gives ground truth through these warnings, but the risk is certainly there by looking just at the radar. The stronger risk, the highest risk really is this storm that is sitting right now over Haltom City. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer here. And the worst of it is both sides of the 35 corridor. So it stretches all the way from Sampson Park. It goes over across Haltom City, across 35, and then it's almost into Richland Hills. Though it's raining in Richland Hills, Hearst, and up into North Richland Hills, all the way up to Colleyville and to Keller right now. That's not the worst of it by any means. There is a very strong thunderstorm headed into those same areas coming up from the southwest, and I'll put a track on it, give you some timing on it, because this strong thunderstorm is producing, we think, hail and perhaps also some winds close to 60 miles an hour. And North Richland Hills now, new arrival time, it's coming towards you. It's you only got a few minutes, so I'm hoping they're taking the necessary actions there at the stadium at Birdville High School, at Birdville School District Station, the football stadium. They were trying to get a game in. They started it at 6, so they're only an hour and a half in. Game's likely still going on, but they're going to have to suspend it as this comes in. There's a lot of lightning with this, or there has been, and there could be some small hail and certainly some strong winds, certainly 50, maybe even 60 mile per hour winds. Hearst 734, Colleyville 740. Be inside as you and away from windows as this come through. Keller, you're trying to play a football game up there. 7:47 is the arrival time. Get a little heads up. We're giving you as much heads up as we can. Now look at this thunderstorm now that is over just north of Rome, New Fairview, and Decatur. This is starting to ramp up as well. This thunderstorm is between basically Decatur and the county line of Tarrant over by New Fairview. It's really started to ramp up. It's enlightening, and that's usually a sign that the ice is starting to get a little bit more organized. The hail is starting to circulate a little bit better. Let's sample hail size there. Right now, there's your thunderstorm warning, but the hail size, you know, marble size hail, at least recorded by radar. North side Fort Worth has had hail and has now passed over. Thank you, Debbie Fox. So if you're in parts of north downtown Fort Worth, it looks like the hail's starting to leave. As we can see, there's radar indicated, and it's a few minutes old, this radar. This particular product is usually about 3 to 4 minutes past time, and this storm is moving up to the northeast. So you can look at this and project that the hail that's probably was around here 4 or 5 minutes ago is probably now right around 35, Watauga, Haltom City, and North Richland Hills, and will soon be in Keller, Colleyville, Bedford, and over into Hearst. So you still got about 4 or 5 minutes to get the cars in the garage if you can, and get inside as this thunderstorm comes across you. Right now, there isn't much lightning with it. That lightning, the most lightning has really been up towards this thunderstorm warning that's going on in parts of Wise County and Denton County. This one is until 8 o'clock, and we're continuing to monitor comments. So Vicki Cross-Wart, she just said, oh man, the rain has started in Saginaw. It'll be picking up, Vicki, and then the thunderstorm right behind it. Sarah, you're asking about Bridgeport? Yeah, look at this. There is a thunderstorm. It's not severe yet, but do you see it coming out of North Mineral Wells right here? that one will probably try to get towards Bridgeport and then into Decatur. It might strengthen. I mean, we have to keep an eye on all these thunderstorms. The atmosphere is ripe for some strong thunderstorms. They honestly, they haven't been really bad yet, but they have certainly shown the potential to do damage, hence the warnings out. I haven't seen anything particularly worrisome. We've had reports of some nickel-size, pocket-size change hail in areas with these strong thunderstorms that are in the warnings. But as we've been looking at the VIL, we're not seeing really strong signatures. By the way, some pretty good rains, which is something we have not seen here. We're in a drought. It has been a flash drought that basically started suddenly in September, the first day of September, and was with us all the way, all the way until we got into this evening. Look at that half-inch rainfall over the last 3 hours estimated by radar, and it's really just fallen in the last 30 minutes, to be honest. But from New Fairview down and towards Pelican Bay, much needed rain to remove this fire threat. The burn bans have been in place here since we've rolled into mid-September. You can see also the rain has been pretty heavy over by White Settlement. That's where they've got that nickel and dime size hail reported. That storm brought also some pretty good rains there, maybe closing in on a half-inch or more in some spots. Now the rain has yet to get to the airport. The airport hasn't had rain in 41 days, but you can see as I change over to reflectivity, that's ready to change. We're going to get measurable rain. It's seen a trace of rain. It hasn't had measurable rain. There wasn't some, didn't get here earlier this morning when there was some rain around the morning hours, but it's about ready to get its first rain, measurable rain, I should say, in the last 40 days. Wow, it's just an amazing dry spell. A question, is Southwest Arlington going to get anything? Yes. I think as the line queues up, it'll probably sweep a little bit more to the east. We'll be watching over the next hour in the Arlington area. You're not out of the woods yet. Everything has just been to the west of you and moving towards the northeast, but the whole line, I believe, will sweep through all of the Metroplex over the next couple of hours. Chazzy and Melody reports they have lost power in Fort Worth now because of the strong winds. We don't know how many people are without power, but I hope you're joining us on your phone right now because we are broadcasting live on Facebook. Thank you, Isaac, for that. We are trying to cover best we can what's going on. I'm going to zoom out a little bit wider. Okay, we have a watch out. Okay, the watch is out until we get to 1 o'clock this morning. So there's the watch. And it is going to be in place till 1 o'clock, this watch here. There it is. And it includes most of North Texas. So the watch goes on to 1 a.m. We have a few warnings out already. The first warnings we have actually had in some time, to be honest. Maybe I was asking earlier from the National Weather Service, when was the last time we were under a watch or a warning? It's been a while. But the warnings, the first warnings and only warnings we've had out so far have been for Tarrant County and Denton County. Tarrant County will expire in the next 45 minutes. It'll probably be extended into Collin and parts of Dallas. And the warning out till 8 o'clock for Denton County, the stronger thunderstorms just now entering in from the west side of the county. I have yet to see anything that is just terrible. Not to say that we haven't had damage, not to say that there hasn't been some pockets of bad hail or strong hail to do damage. I'm just saying in the big picture, this isn't as ferocious as it could be. There is a red and green right next to each other like that. I'm circling that because that's probably some really strong winds that are coming out of this storm in North Lake and Justin, headed into Argyle and Denton. And yeah, Argyle, I'm sorry, you were getting rain, now you're getting the storms. There's the lightning that's off to the north of Ponder. You're hearing that thunder, you're hearing the thunder in Sanger. That thunderstorm is kind of on you right now. Let's look a little bit closer to that storm. And again, I don't see any rotation. That's a good news. We weren't expecting much in a tornado threat from any of these cells, but the hail threat is real. We have been getting reports of small hail, nothing really big. You know, we keep an eye on several, actually 2 different radars on the hail core and try to spot where the biggest hailstones might be. And this one actually that's up by Justin in Denton, that is actually right now, at least in this last sweep, showing where there might be some strong hail. Now, if we look at the radar, that's not severe size. That's penny size, marble size, pea size. We get up towards, you know, 3/4 inch or larger, and that's when we start worrying, because that can do some damage. So, yeah, there's hail, but it hasn't been a really big hail. Most reports in our chat room, which I just lost, are into basically more in the size of nickel and dime size hail. So we'll continue to watch this, of course, through the balance of the night, because there's no indication this stuff is going to weaken anytime soon. We have this huge temperature gap. Let me zoom in a little bit closer, and guys, I'm going to want to take live Doppler here in just a second, but let me show you the temperature range now. So this is just in the span of when we last did this just 10 minutes ago. It's now 74 in Denton. It's still near 80 degrees in DFW. I mean, those 2 places are pretty close together. It's a pretty dramatic cold front, and that is enough energy, just that difference in that cold air and in that warm air, to keep thunderstorms going well after sundown. You don't need daylight all the time to get thunderstorms going when you have a temperature contrast like that. Okay, back to Lynx 1. Widen out the view. There's a new thunderstorm warning out that's down affecting into Erath County, Eastland County. This thunderstorm, again, moving to the northeast. And again, the main threats here are probably going to be lightning, small hail, and some strong winds with it. I'll stop it here and look at different ways of looking at the hail. I don't see a large hail signature, but that storm's pretty far away, and it's always difficult to get a good handle on hail when it's that far from the radar side. We'll continue to. I'm trying to now get the latest weather information. I've lost our connections again. This has been going on through the night, and I suspect it has a lot to do with the weather itself, that we're getting intermittent connections here and there across North Tarrant County and Tarrant County on the east side because of the stronger thunderstorms that are coming through. So as I'm doing 2 things at once right now, trying to log in and get back into, get connected back, I'll zoom out and show you what's going on in the Metroplex. Nothing in Dallas County yet, nothing in Collin County yet. All of this has been in Denton County, Wise County, and down all the way into Parker, and a little bit into Johnson. I'm circling the strongest thunderstorms. I really think that this is going to line up. This is all going to come together. And then we'll have to deal with some very strong winds, and that will be a threat for Collin County and parts also of Dallas County. If that happens, if this line forms and we start getting this squall line that some of the models were indicating as we were getting the latest weather model runs showing this line developing, and then suddenly we're dealing with this thing that's producing some very strong winds. That's kind of what would happen if the squall line forms. I'm going to put this in motion as I'm again doing 2 things at once. I'll put that in motion, and you can see that we have these line of thunderstorms trying to get going here. And if they continue to kind of gel together, that's when they morph really from a hail threat to a wind threat, and the wind threat will go up substantially. The individual cells are producing probably 50-mile-per-hour winds, maybe in some cases up to 60 and doing damage, but we haven't had much in reports of that just as of yet. But again, I've lost, again, my connection trying to see what's going on across North Texas. We'll get a lot of information in from there. And sometimes we have to get in to a different, in several different ways, trying to get to the same information it just hides from us on sometimes. All right, let me try to get into it again and see if I can get the latest weather information. The radar is indicating that these thunderstorms have been strong, borderline severe, but I have not seen yet anything of a particularly strong signature. Donna Jo Petty asks, is Gun Barrel City going to have it? There's a good possibility, Donna, but it's going to be much later tonight, maybe closer to midnight when you're getting it. Now, you're joining us in from Flower Mound. You have strong thunderstorms that are closing in from the west. You've got some lightning with it, some small hail, perhaps winds up to 60 miles an hour, but I wouldn't be surprised a lot of 40, 50 mile per hour reports will be coming in with these thunderstorms. These thunderstorms have had a history of producing some hail, but most of those reports have been in the pennies to nickel to dime size, so they haven't been as dramatic. We are also looking at wind gusts across the area, and we haven't seen any, at least, of course, the storm has to move right over a particular observation site in order for us to see any thunderstorms develop, any gusts that develop that could be severe. And that rarely happens, quite honestly. You know, you get a lot of strong thunderstorms going on, and they miss all the actual sites that tell us where the strongest winds are. So that actually happens a lot. We have to guess at the wind sometimes by looking at the radar information, the velocity to be specific. We are going to continue to cover this because the storm threat continues to move over the heart of the Metroplex. So as we continue with our Facebook Live, continue with your comments. If you're getting hit, I'd like to know what size hail you're seeing, what kind of winds you're seeing, trying to guess at the winds. That would be good. Or maybe you do have even a weather observation site set up in your house that is showing the winds outside your home, maybe in your backyard. That would be very helpful, as well as some rainfall amounts. Any reports you can give us will help us cover this event. That's one of the great advantages of being on Facebook, is that we get into a lot of people who can actually interact with us and tell us what's going on. Lou, you're asking about Weatherford. You got some thunderstorms that are just off to the east of you now, but more thunderstorms are coming out of Palo Pinto, have crossed the county line now, and will be headed into Parker County. Now, those don't look severe at this moment, so we'll keep an eye on those, but I'm not thinking that that's much of a threat as it looks now, the second wave that's coming in towards you. That is been the story tonight, and you know, I'm just being honest with you guys. They do have warnings out, they have watches out, but the storms have not been looking particularly bad yet. That can easily change as we get through the evening hours, because if these line up, we could be dealing with that thunderstorm risk that goes on throughout the evening hours. These thunderstorms will probably continue to line up and move up from the southwest. This is going to be going on for a couple of hours. Nothing in Plano, Karen, no, nothing in Plano, but coming in from the west. And Corsicana, you know, that's a great question, Pamela. You're in Corsicana. If you are down from DeSoto, Cleburne, Waxahachie, well, Waxahachie down to Corsicana and into Anderson County, that's all going to be in the middle of the night for you. I know it's happening now over the Metroplex, but down further south, it's going to be much later tonight before it comes in. I just cannot get anything to cooperate with me tonight. Trying desperately to get back into our information stream of what's been going on, and it is just not cooperating for us here. So basically, I'm flying blind. And have been for about the last 5 minutes. It drives me crazy, but we're attempting again and again to get into our weather stream here where we're plugged into the events that are going on right in real time across all of North Texas, and that is our go-to source for weather information. I've also have been unable to get back in touch with Jason McLaughlin since he got knocked off air. So that's also been troublesome. We have not been able to reconnect with him and see what's going on. All right, now a new thunderstorm warning has been issued, this one till 8:45. It includes obviously up into Sherman, Grayson County, and parts of Cook County. The strong thunderstorm, the severe thunderstorm, is just down to the north of Sanger, moving up 35, getting ready to go into Valley View. I can tell you right now by looking at its signature, the way it's shaped, that wind will be a big issue with this one. There we are, we're finally back in. Okay. The warning for Denton, Cook, and Grayson County is for 60-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail. That is this storm right here. Valley View, it's upon you. It is going to be moving over the lake and then headed towards Gainesville, Collinsville, and Whitesboro. This is a thunderstorm that could also be producing a little bit of hail, maybe quarter-size hail. The latest information is that as we look further north, these thunderstorms are moving faster. So let me put a track on this thunderstorm. It's moving to the northeast at a whopping 40 miles an hour, which would put it into Sanger here just in the next few minutes by 7:53, into Dalton by 8 o'clock, and Shady Grove by 8:03, Collinsville by 8:07. There's a heads up. You're probably hearing the thunder, maybe even seeing the lightning coming out of the southwest. That's a severe thunderstorm headed towards you. Could be packing some large hail. I'm going to change over to Ville density so we can see where the hail core. It's nice and tight. It's small. It's over by 35, or it was just moments ago. It's probably now just to the east. And yeah, there's half-dollar size hail. So that is definitely a hail threat with this thunderstorm, the new warning that's out till 8:45 for parts of Cook County and parts also of Grayson. Now, as we look a little bit further down to the south, these warnings, one of these warnings is getting ready to clear, but we're also seeing a new warning that has now been issued, and actually maybe more accurately extended. This warning includes not only Tarrant County till 8:45, but now into Dallas County, into Collin County, because of this storm right here, this storm that's over Haltom City, this one that is, I'm going to look at reflectivity, because I'm seeing now a rotation trying to form here. That's just a rotation in the sense of the storm strengthening, not a tornadic threat, though there is a very low risk of a tornado with these thunderstorms. We're keeping a close eye on this one. This is what we had been watching ever since it crossed into Tarrant County. This is a thunderstorm that's now over North Richland Hills, bringing some heavy rain into Watauga. In fact, let's look at the rain rate, because I bet you it's impressive. This has been some very moist air in place, so now it's interacting with this cold air. And though it won't rain for an hour, it is raining at the rate of between 3.5, close to 4 inches an hour at that rate. But how much rain actually falls is really dependent on how fast it's moving. But this is likely producing some pretty strong winds. I would say right now the strongest winds are around Haltom City and Richland Hills. I'm going to circle a little bit wider area than maybe is indicated there, but these could be 60-mile-per-hour winds heading into Watauga and North Richland Hills and Hearst over the next few minutes. So little heads up, this is that severe weather that we've been warning you about in North Richland Hills and Keller. It's upon you now. It is coming in. Keller, not so much. It's a little south of you, but right over the 820 loop corner there where the Northeast Mall is, and moving up Davis, or Boulevard 26, moving up Davis towards Colleyville. This is a very strong thunderstorm, perhaps even with some damaging winds involved here. There's some lightning with it, but not a lot. So hopefully they are now inside, as at the stadium. I know they were trying to get a game in there. at Birdville. Okay, severe thunderstorm warning for Tarrant County, Davis County to 8:45. There's a severe thunderstorm warning just to the north of there. This thunderstorm warning is in effect for just a corner of Tarrant County, but really it's over into Denton County because the worst of this storm is now over Justin, though this is pretty bad as well in Crum and Denton with the wind threat. Now there is also a warning now for this storm that is over in southern parts of Cook County. This storm I'm circling right here is also producing 60-mile-per-hour winds, or has the risk of doing so, and maybe golf ball size hail with this. We are waiting to get some reports of it. Heavier rain by the TCC campus over there near North Richland Hills. Thank you for that, James. It's going to be some very heavy rain here probably for the next 20 minutes. We're continuing to monitor your reports. All quiet in DeSoto. Yeah, Ray, nothing in DeSoto going on yet. Your time will come much later tonight, really. For as close as it is, it really won't be down in the southern part of Dallas County or into Ellis County probably for the next several hours. All of this is kind of what we believe is happening. Is all of this is trying to line up and to get into a squall line going, though it's really having difficulty going to that, maybe because the cold front is mixing it up and kind of getting more into the storms than would like and undercutting them. And that keeps the squall line from forming. But the warnings, you can see there's 3 warnings out, and there's the warning that's in effect for parts of Tarrant County, and that will eventually, this thunderstorm will get into parts of Dallas County as well. Now, the information that's been coming in, we've continued to monitor this here, and the latest the reports really have not been for particularly large hail. I mean, under severe size. Radar is showing something a little bit bigger than that, but sometimes the stuff melts by the time it gets to the ground, especially ahead of the front where it's still, you know, almost 90 degrees. So you do lose some of that hail size that falls through that little bit of very warm air that's still in place ahead of the front and over most of the Metroplex. So that's probably inhibiting some of the hail growth. And the warnings they continue to put out because the storms are strong enough, certainly with the wind threat, for us to be concerned about. But the actual risk has been pretty small so far. We'll continue to watch it as we go through. Now, in Crum, we've been getting reports of dime-sized hail, so that's kind of following the trend that though there's warnings out, the hail doesn't seem to be particularly bad at this moment. We're certainly going to be watching it here for a while as we have these thunderstorms still kind of ramping up. But I'm going to change over what we call Vil. And all that is just the ice that's in the storm and trying to judge how big that ice is. So the brighter the color, the more concentration of ice is in there. Now, you have to go to a different algorithm to try to figure out what size hail, because you could have a huge mass of small hail or a small mass of large hail and still get the same signature, though large hail sometimes will trigger a much bigger return just because of its size, and it'll suddenly, you know, these colors get so bright they turn white, and that's an indication of massive hail. But quite honestly, I haven't been seeing that. In fact, you look at the trending, the purple marks are getting a little bit smaller here just over the last 30 minutes, and that's good news as far as our hail threat going down. The National Weather Service was acknowledging that the chat room did go out there for a while, but we are back in, and that's where I'm getting this information, by the way. As well as looking at the radar. As we change over to reflectivity, yeah, it's strong thunderstorms, nothing terrible out there. We change over to velocity. Yeah, we can see some strong winds going on, certainly. Look at this wind. I'm going to show you this. It's one of the things we look for. So I'm going to put that around there. Okay, do you see? Okay, here's all red in front of it, right? And then behind it, you see the grays and the greens. Now I'm going to put it in motion. And what you're going to see is that kind of bow out. Look at it expand out. That's wind from a storm that's starting to lose its punch. That cold air that's being held aloft by the updrafts finally gives up. And all that air comes rushing down because it's more dense than the warm air it's falling into. So it falls, just like a baseball falling through the air. And that cold air hits the ground and sometimes can be going 50, 60 miles an hour. Now, it looks like it's less than that, but we'll watch this for reports. I bet you it's 40, 50 mile per hour winds in Highland Village, Lake Dallas, and Corinth up to Oak Point. I bet you, because just that signature usually shows some really strong winds. James said there was only 22 mile per hour winds at TCC. I'm hoping that's an instrument read. It sounds it because of the being so exact. But that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, that's certainly not severe, but these storms are not really congealing together too well. They're moving a little fast. The cold front is kind of trying to punch into them a little bit. So, Allen to Saxe, Danielle Harris is asking. Okay, so she's going to go from Allen to Saxe. I think she's going to be okay. It's going to be close leaving. She might get into some stuff in Allen when she's leaving, but I bet you she can get to Saxe without any problem. Let's hope so. These thunderstorms, good news here, Danielle, is that they haven't been horrible. They've been strong, and you're probably really not going to be wanting to drive through them, but they are not really, really powerful. Kathy, you're asking about DFW. Well, Tarrant County has been covered up. There's been reports of small hail. There have been reports of some strong winds, but nothing that's been doing damage. We have no reports of damage. Those thunderstorms that have been over Tarrant County are moving northeast, so they're kind of moving more towards northern Dallas into Collin County than they are the rest of Dallas County. But there is still more developing off to the north, and those thunderstorms are really crossing over by Parker County, so some frequent lightning, but nothing severe. And we'll see what they do with these warnings as they're getting closer to Collin and Dallas, because like I said, they're not, the signatures aren't really horrific. They're not, it doesn't appear they're really, really strong. Kathy's saying your sister should leave early, Shelley. But anyway, as I continue to monitor your comments, again, James, now he's got a 38 mile per hour gust over by TCC in North Richland Hills, and that's on that backside of that storm. So I think that's just that storm kicking out some cold air as it's moved over. They're going to put out a warning, I suspect, for this storm coming up I-20, just because look at that lightning. Look at that lightning just kind of queue up here just in the last few minutes. I'll zoom in a little bit closer to it. So I have it on a 30-minute loop, and when I see this lightning do that, it clusters close together, and suddenly there's a lot of it. That usually tells me that there's either rotation. There's a little bit. Do you see it? I'm going to turn off the lightning so I can move in a little bit closer. That usually means there's a rotation starting. That ice is really starting to get agitated or forming and getting pushed up higher into the atmosphere. And that ice circulating around is the source of the lightning. I'll put it back over to that. So normally what we'll be worried about at this phase is some hail. So we'll sample the hail size. This is along right I-20, and quarter-size hail could be possible with this. And it is moving up towards Weatherford with a hail threat. We'll put it back over reflectivity, and there's a couple of things going on here now. All right, this is a mature storm. You can see the rotation. You can see it kicking out an outflow on its southern tail. You can also see this rotation would suggest that if anything were to form, and I can't stress enough how small the tornado threat is, but if anything would form with this, it would be in this cradle right here. Hold on, let me get back over to here. It would be right here in this cradle that I just circled. So that is a strong thunderstorm trying to develop. Now, we've seen this happen a couple times already tonight, and they really couldn't get going. This, I'm guessing, is just ahead of the cold front. That's kind of in a good position. You have a lot of warm air that's going to be feeding into this storm and trying to get it going. So let's see. The threat would be across, would follow I-20, but the south. and across I-20 as it goes into Tarrant County. And even if nothing develops, and again, the tornado threat is really low, what would develop certainly is some really strong winds in a situation like that. So let's move back over to velocity. And we are seeing a little bit of a rotation starting in that storm. So we'll continue to watch it. I'm seeing the hail threat kind of increase as well. But as I change over to velocity, oh boy, the hail threat is really ramping up, and that's no surprise. Remember I was telling you about how the lightning, when I see it clustering up like that, all of a sudden the hail is a bigger issue. This is a product I don't show all the time. It's actually a conglomerate of a couple of risks. For instance, rain, run at 2 inches an hour. We don't see any wind signatures, but hail, and that's 2-inch hail, which is one of the bigger signatures we've seen tonight. So this is a strong thunderstorm that is now, oh, wait a minute, you see now it's turned white? Let me clear that out. You see that white? That is maybe, that's a new warning, 845 for Parker County, and that white represents 3-inch hail. So isn't that, I just kind of stepped you through all that, didn't I? That we watched this rotation, we watched this lightning cluster, and I was telling you that the hail would become a big threat, and there it is. So let's track this thunderstorm because this warning that just came out is in effect till 8:30. And this thunderstorm is moving northeast at 30 miles an hour. So they're just ahead of the front. They're moving a little bit slower than ones that are kind of tangled up with the front. I'm going to put a track on this at 30 miles an hour. And I'm going to go a little bit more east than northeast, just judging by the shape of this thing. So that is some arrival times for you. Now, the arrival times, I'm going to narrow down that list. They do go pretty far in the future because it's got to cross Parker County. But the thunderstorms, let me go down to 30 minutes. All right, that's 30 minutes in Weatherford. Let me show you 60 minutes. That's to the county line. All right, so I think what I'll be using is 45 minutes for a while here, because of the speed of the thunderstorm. So Weatherford by 8:26, Willow Park by 8:42. Those are the major cities, the big ones. That's basically every municipality or city that's in this path. And you can see Brock, Fox, Bethel, of course Weatherford, county seat, and then just on the other side to Annetta North and South, and eventually in Toledo and Dicey right. That's in the path of the storm at about 8:19, 8:20. So this is a storm that certainly has the risk of large hail. If you're in that, you want to certainly be inside. Now, I'm going to zoom out. Remember the purple I was telling you about? That's VIL density, and how the thunderstorms that the warnings were out over Metroplex, the hail threat was starting to lessen. Well, they're getting smaller, though. The one in Cook County is starting to ramp up again with that lightning cluster. But look in comparison, what's going on just down here in the southwest corner of Parker County. That's the bigger hail signature that we have seen here this evening. And it's showing ping pong to 1.5-inch size hail. So this one obviously has our attention as it's just right over the Brazos right now and headed towards Weatherford, the county seat. It's moving about 30 miles an hour, and that puts it into Weatherford here at 8:25. So we're just a little after 8 o'clock. You got about 20 minutes. Try to get your car in the garage. Get away from the windows when this comes through. You're hearing it from the thunder coming up towards you out of the southwest. Be inside when it comes through. This could produce some large damaging hail. The warning goes to 8:45. I'll bring you back over reflectivity, and you can see again, I was talking about this, and that's a little bit of a concern, this shape. When you see a little lobe like that, you see that? You see that just kind of at the very end? There's a couple things could be going on there. Let me turn on some signatures as we look at rotation. This is the most organized of any storm I have seen so far tonight. That's good. Actually, what I'm talking about is see it bowing out. And I don't see much gate to gate. I don't see any rotation tight in the lower levels. So maybe not as much of a threat as it looks. But yeah, now that I see it in respect to that, it's still kicking out some strong winds. They've probably just come through Lipan and headed towards Granbury and Toller and over by the Lake Granbury. And those will be some strong winds. The hail core is up north, okay, in Parker County. And that's going to be heading towards Weatherford here in the next 20 minutes, and probably Willow Park and Annetta, north and south, maybe even Aledo. That's one of the stronger thunderstorms we have seen so far tonight. The other warnings that are out, this is one till 8:45. This, again, is for Tarrant County. But like I've been saying, I just don't see anything really, really bad with these. I don't see a lot of strong winds. I don't see a lot of big hail signature. But a lot of stuff can get hidden inside when these thunderstorms, when they're kind of close together and clustered together. Look at that. It's raining in DFW. It's raining in DFW Airport. We haven't had rain at the DFW Airport in 41 days. So it's finally getting some big rain there. Pouring in Grapevine, Mercedes Hamilton says, yes, it is. Mercedes, let me know if you got any big winds with that. Were they ahead of the rain? And then, oh, that doesn't look good. I'm sorry, Sue. I didn't mean to scare you there. So when I was zooming into this storm over here in Parker County, I was saying, oh, that doesn't look good. And it's because of Sue. We look for rotation, right? And sometimes these things develop a tail, and that's kind of a signature for a strong thunderstorm. And it is a strong thunderstorm. It's producing some of the largest hail, or the signature of the largest hail we've seen so far tonight. It's producing an outflow boundary on its southern tail. That's a good sign of rotation. It's really maturing there. So it's getting wrapped up right here. But what happens is that rotation is also pushing ice higher and higher up into the atmosphere and forming more and more hail, getting the chance with the stronger updraft to keep suspended in the air larger hail. So when it comes down, you got some damaging hail falling. So I was more concerned about it. I'm still telling you that there's a big hail threat with this, but not much more than that as far as a threat. There's the hail path from this, and if I'm going to show you 30 minutes and see how it suddenly ramped up just really in the last 15, moving right over the river, headed curving a little bit to the right. That's another thing that we kind of look for, kind of a right turner. All the lightning that's coming with that, I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, that's a strong thunderstorm. That's probably doing some damage. Now, this is a ranches, and I know some of the cattlemen in this area, and they're really, really appreciating the rain, but of course they hate seeing this hail. That can do damage to livestock, especially the lightning as well. So these are a lot of ranching communities right in this area along the riverbed of the Brazos. And they're getting much needed rain for the pasture, but that is some severe weather along with it. The stuff that's over Tarrant County is, they got a warning on it, but it's not so bad. Arlington, you're not in it yet. Canton later tonight, much later tonight after midnight, maybe closer to 2, 3 in Canton. Dallas County, you're getting a little bit of rain down across, just up in towards that northwest corner in Irving, but nothing else going on in that county. Collin County, you've had a little bit of rain coming in towards 75 from the west, but nothing severe. This is going to change it. You see this stuff in Corinth Lake, Dallas, that's headed towards you. That's coming towards you. As you go in towards Lake Dallas and the Colony, that's coming towards you into Frisco. You're going to have some pretty big thunderstorms with this and some gusty winds, but I haven't seen anything that's incredibly dangerous. I think the warnings are certainly justified because of the idea that we have been dealing with these strong thunderstorms for the last hour. I need to get back to this storm, okay? Now, if you've been with us for a while here on Facebook, I was telling you about how the lightning was ramping up, right? That all of a sudden there was all this lightning, and that the hail threat would really increase suddenly, and it did. I was showing you that, you know, there was a little rotation trying to form. Usually that is just going to kick off a little bit more. But now I'm seeing this, okay? Now I'm seeing the tighter rotation. Again, the tornado threat is really small, and it has a lot to do really what's going on in the middle part of the atmosphere tonight. I mean, there is a threat. It would be hard for it to get tall enough to get going. But I'm circling that area because, you know, there'd be reason to concern with that. There is some really large hail signature, and I'm talking about, you know, 60-mile-per-hour winds and 3-inch hail. So there's plenty of threat with this storm. But this rotation is bothering me. Thank you so much, sir. He's bringing me some water finally because I needed it. I just finally asked for water. Jason McLaughlin, our storm chaser, we lost contact with hours ago and can't get back. I'm going to try one more time. He's been texting me with his reports. He hasn't run into anything just horrible yet either, but we have, he's been out in those thunderstorms that were more over Tarrant into Denton, and the stronger stuff obviously now in Parker. So, Jason, if you're listening, let's position you back and let's catch this southern wave that's going to be coming in on the flank, because I think that has going to be more of a threat just because of the atmosphere stacked a little bit better and the cold front moving a little bit faster down across the south, I suspect. Okay, let's put a track on this. Again, the threat is hail in 60-mile-per-hour winds. The threat is not tornadoes. I know I was talking about that. It's not. It's moving 30 miles an hour. It is headed in towards Tarrant County. And let me set this up a little bit better for us, because I've been tracking, I think, too far in advance. I want to do more like 45 minutes for advance. And as we were watching this cell really kind of get going here, I've been a little bit concerned with how it is kind of spun up and produced some really large hail. So there we go. Brock, it's almost there. Dennis, it's over you now. Oh, that's some of my favorite ranchers are right around that Dennis Brock area. This is headed towards Bethel. This is headed towards Weatherford and Center Point. Tin Top, 824, Harmony, 828, Weatherford, 834. Be inside when this one comes in. This is the strongest storm I've seen so far this evening, both in reflectivity and in hail threat. As I change over to looking in this purple, which is looking at the ice that's in the storm, right there in the center, that's egg-size hail. And it's pretty accurate. I mean, as far as what it's seeing up there, but the key up there, and those thunderstorms where this ice is being elevated up there, egg-size hail, doesn't necessarily mean that by the time it gets to the ground, it's egg-size. You can see there's no purple now in the warning that's over Tarrant County. As I change it over reflectivity, yeah, there's thunderstorms, there's a little bit of lightning, and there's Jason coming down 35. Good, he's listening. He's going to try to get in position for this one. I bet you he'll hit the loop, head west, and see if he can intercept this Lake Worth and Benbrook. And though I cannot get his signal up, I can get his information. He is texting me and will tell us what's going on. So let me, I'm going to address this issue one more time. We've been trying to get his signal out. He's the only storm chaser that I have right now. So as we try to reach out to him, keep in mind that the storms that have been over parts of Tarrant and Denton County, though there were warnings out, it was reports of nickel and dime-size hail and winds really closer to 40, 50 miles an hour. So, yeah, warnings, but nothing that I just looked at and was so concerned about, you know. This one in Parker County, headed towards Tarrant County, this one is more concerning. And I'm going to circle it, the area that I'm talking about here. So this is along I-20 and down to the south. This is headed towards Weatherford, though the worst of it would be southern Weatherford. And I was just reading some of your comments to see if we got anybody in that area. We don't. There's not a lot of people there in this area, but as you can see, that circled area, that's the strongest thunderstorm. As I switch over to shear, that is this indication of the strong winds. And the shear markers are not overly impressive, but I'm going to put this in motion from the last 30 minutes and see if there was a time they really kicked up. No, they are kicking up now. Okay, so the shear hasn't been overly impressive. We'll change it over to reflectivity and zoom out a little bit. The shear with this is not overly impressive, but there has been a little bit of rotation. There has been the threat of hail. Hail, I guess, right now being the bigger threat because we're getting every indication that this could be hail that's close to 2 inches in size, 1.5 inches at least, and that again, this is one of the stronger ones that we've seen. So we're getting reports of penny-size hail and dime-size hail in Hickory Creek area in Denton County, and that kind of lines up with what the radar was estimating. So that's no surprise there. Those are the thunderstorms that are up north of us, and they've been dying out as far as the hail threat. They're still producing some good rains. The biggest storm right now is this one in Parker County, though this one that's getting ready to go into Erath County over De Leon is producing some hail. I'm gonna sample that. There's a warning out for 8:30 for Erath County because this one is saying tennis ball size hail. Now keep in mind it's really looking high up there in the atmosphere. So sometimes it does that. You got the storm so far away from the actual radar site, and it just give you an idea how far this is. There's the hail core, and there's the radar site. So it's 80 miles away, so the radar beam's probably a mile up. So it's only looking at the very top of the storm, and that's where the large hail would be. By the time it gets to the ground, it would be smaller. So yeah, tennis ball size hail way up in the storm. That's not necessarily what comes down to the ground, fortunately. Let's look at reflectivity. Again, put it in motion. Parker County, there's a thunderstorm warning out for you because of that cell moving just south of I-20, just rolling along. Continuing to produce some strong winds and kicking out some large hail. There's a thunderstorm that is now kind of ramped up by Kennedale in Tarrant County. This one is going to move into parts of Arlington, by the way. Nothing severe the way it's looking. The warning that you see out in effect was for this thunderstorm that's over by Lake Dallas 35 and headed towards the Colony in Frisco. Now that could be producing some strong winds. They have yet to issue another warning out for parts of Collin County from this, but we have to keep an eye on this because it's trying to ramp up by the looks of it. That thunderstorm over parts of Denton County heading to Collin County has been ramping up as far as the hail threat. But the biggest signature and the biggest threat right now is this thunderstorm down here in Parker County. And there's a lot of reasons for it. There's been some rotation. Be concerned about it. There's a lot of rotation going on. There's some large hail going on. We're seeing some strong winds getting kicked out. It's interesting to note, you see that little circle that cropped up? That isn't from rotation in the storm, that's from outflow. Outflow interacting with the south wind, that happens a lot. We get that rotation signature, but what it is that the winds going this way are running into winds going this way, and you get a little rotation in the lower part of the atmosphere right there. Now, that can get picked up and put into the storm and form a tornado, by the way, but we'll just watch it. That would seem an unlikely scenario given the movement of the storm, but you can easily be wrong. That's that velocity, that gate to gate, again, showing really more than anything that winds are going this way really fast and winds are going this way even faster. So that where they collide, that's showing things swirling around. So as I zoom out, Change it back to reflectivity. You can see the core isn't over there. But what you're seeing here just north of Granbury at the county line between Parker County and Hood County is probably just the winds going in every direction, going crazy. All right, I'm going to zoom out. We got a slew of warnings out. The biggest concern is the storm in Parker County. We're watching these thunderstorms that are moving now out of Denton County towards Frisco and McKinney. Let's try to find that Frisco camera, by the way, when those storms come in. We'll keep an eye on those. Oh, Jason McLaughlin, you're back up. Can we take Skype 1? This just took forever. Oh, thanks, Matt. I'm trying to stay hydrated, man. Let's take Skype 1. That's Jason McLaughlin's shot. He is on 35. Oh man, it took us almost 40 minutes after he got knocked offline from a storm to get him back. And there he is, 35. Thanks for the shot, Jason. And what I want you to do is, well, you already know what to do. I never have to tell Jason what to do. He's going to hit 820 and head west, and try to get this around 820 and capture, get it towards this storm that's been coming out of southern Parker County, because he's seeing the same thing I'm seeing. It's the strongest one so far tonight. There's a thunderstorm warning till 8:45, so about 25 more minutes for Little Elm, Oak Point, Lincoln Park. Colony, you're getting ready to get it, but Little Elm, Oak Point, you're in it. Frisco, it's ready to come towards you. Some very strong winds, heavy rain, a little bit of lightning, perhaps nickel, dime-size hail, probably with that. We're still, the National Weather Service hasn't extended yet into Collin County the warning, but we'll wait and see. It would be more out of precaution just because things are still pretty dynamic in the atmosphere. When you take a look at what's going on in Parker County, you certainly would think that, well, we have to keep an eye on these storms. They could really get very, very bad, and they're bad enough. So where Jason is, you can see him on the radar. It's just light rain, so you see the wet roads on 35. As he's coming down to the exchange of where, Highway 81 runs into it. And he is heading south. The thunderstorm that is a main concern in Parker County, we'll look at the velocity. We see the signature of the colliding winds from the outflow to the south. We see a little bit of a hail signature, but the hail path shows it was producing some pretty large hail when it was moving right over the river. And the rainfall amounts, the rain rates have been rather high. Maybe they're briefly as high as 6-7 inches an hour. That's just how heavy it's falling in the moment. It probably only falls that hard for about 5 minutes, so you don't get anywhere close to that rainfall amount, but you could easily get an inch amount. In fact, if we look at the 3-inch rain, I bet you we're getting close to that. At least we're getting some reports where it's close to an inch of rain. It's still raining, so it could still be going down pretty hard there, this rain. You can see it's really hard rains coming in towards Annetta now, with heavier rain just to the southwest. Pretty good rains over by Willow Park up towards Springtown. Pretty good rains over by Dalworth Gardens in Forest Hill. Nothing severe there. Good rains over by the airport. I keep saying that, probably because we haven't had rain at the airport for 41 days. As we look up towards Collin County, I just want you to know that the warnings haven't been extended into Collin County yet. So the thunderstorm is strong, but maybe not severe. What they are going to do, however, is we look to the south where the air is warmer, the dynamics a little bit better down into Comanche, Erath. We'll probably have a new warning. There it is. That's till 9:15. And that's because of this storm right over here that's now crossing the county line into Erath County. So that one will bear watching for the next 30 minutes or so. I'll circle it, because I bet you it's got a good hail core to it. Let's check, shall we? As we look over, it's not great, but it's developing. So right now, quarter-size hail and getting stronger. Just in comparison, this is the one over Parker County. Ping pong size hail, golf ball size hail, and continue to chug along. It probably was worse, the hail there just 15 minutes ago. But you can see if I look purple, that thing is still expanding. So the big storm of concern is going to be that one right there, up towards Weatherford. So let me throw a message to Jason real quick, our storm spotter, Jason McLaughlin, and tell him what I've been thinking. They'll go 820 west to let's say 20, and get him in motion. I believe he was looking at that stuff south on 20 and trying to see it as it comes into Alliance. But I'll get him to move and catch this storm as it heads towards Benbrook. I know it's crazy. I got a storm tracker. I've got a bad storm. Oh, head right towards it. But really what we're doing, he knows how to get in position and stay out of the worst of it. He's just trying to find ground truth and see how bad it is. Because as it comes in Tarrant County, I really want to know. Hey, Ken. We have this watch out. There is a watch out. I'll put it up. A thunderstorm watch. It was issued just around 6:30 or so, just after, and it's in effect till 1 in the morning. All right, so it's going to go on for a while. It's up to 1 in the morning. And the thunderstorms, let me turn off the watch before I leave that. The thunderstorms, as I change over to reflectivity, there they are. They have been producing warnings here for the last couple of hours. And we have been getting reports of some strong winds and some nickel-sized, dime-sized hail. But why did it do that? Suddenly I'm getting a little problem with my radar. Let me make sure I can get borders back up. And there we are. They have a new warning out, and it is for this thunderstorm that's moving over Arlington. Now, this thunderstorm warning is in effect till 9:30, okay? And it's for Dallas County. So this is the first one for Dallas County. 30-mile-per-hour winds associated with this guy. And to be real specific, it's this guy right here. So again, they're saying north, they're saying east at 30. Good. Yeah, because I thought it was more east than northeast this last couple of rounds. And there we go. We've changed it. And you can see all the towns that are in the way. Now, the way this thing works is that it shows us everything. So I'm going to narrow it down to just the bigger municipalities. Okay, this storm that's over Pantego, Arlington, 833. So, and that would be like around the ballpark, okay? Grand Prairie, 846. Irving, 855. Cockrell Hill, almost 9 o'clock, but just around that time, that thunderstorm will hit. Downtown Dallas, if it holds together, about 9:10. So there's some arrival times. There's a heads up. Let you know that you run the risk of severe weather. It's coming in from the west, moving west to east, 30 miles an hour. It is strengthening. I can tell by just looking at it. It is likely producing quarter-size hail, but I believe the bigger risk is 60-mile-per-hour winds, okay? I think that will be more likely if severe weather causes some damage. It's probably from the wind with this thing. Okay, so they're going to issue another warning for these thunderstorms down in Hood and Johnson County. And I know they're seeing the same thing I'm seeing. They're seeing this. They're seeing this rotation. Okay, I'm going to put up velocity. And do you see it trying to get organized here? See the red and the green right next to each other? And there's like a couple of areas of that. This thunderstorm, the velocity that's being caused by the outflow from the storm running into the strong south wind does get a rotation started, but it's on a horizontal plane. And then as the storm approaches, it picks this thing up and that rotation all of a sudden is vertical, getting pulled into the storm. So we watch this stuff evolve over radar, you know, in these 15, 20-minute cycles, and we start going, tornado threat's been really low, but when we start seeing that, man, you just start getting concerned. So we're going to watch this. You know, this wind signature right here is strong winds, okay, we know that. But when you look in towards the storm, where those winds are coming out of that rotation, that's a non-zero tornado threat right there would be the best way to put it, okay? We know we're in a non-zero tornado threat, which is a way of saying, well, we don't think there's a good chance of tornadoes at all, but we can't rule them out. And that's what that means when we say non-zero. So we know that's the setup, but we look at these storms and go, man, that is ill-defined, but that is a possible threat. Now, the anatomy of the storm would be this. Wraparound flow, outflow, inflow, hail, and everything would form a funnel cloud, say, there. All right, so as we change over to velocity, you know, we're going to kind of be watching that area where the bright greens are, not necessarily in the back side of the storm. Because, so yeah, let me explain that why since we're having velocity. The back side of the storm, by the way, you know what that is? Right rear flank downdraft. Tightens up the rotation. So we see a lot of things going on. We know it's a low threat, but oh man, we're going to be watching that. Of course we are. There is the VIL. Let me show you how big the hail's getting. Still ping pong size hail, so kind of the same report over the last 15 minutes. We've been getting the same thing. And the hail core is the biggest over Parker County. That's been the story for the last 30 minutes. And the National Weather Service watching, of course, this storm in Parker County. And you know, another thing it's doing that we kind of watch is that, all right, let me do this carefully. It was going like this, all right, and now in the last 30 minutes, it's more of a right turner. And what that means, what that usually means, is that it's just getting stronger. So now it's kind of going more like that. So that's an indication that we could have a really strong thunderstorm going on here. And it's kicking out a little rotation signature. You saw it flash that little circle. The other warnings, yeah, that's a strong thunderstorm heading in Collin County. That's a strong thunderstorm that's moving into Dallas County. And you should be inside when that comes through. But I'm not thinking it's going to be, you know, horrific. So when will it hit East Dallas and Mesquite, Lisa? Probably next 30 minutes. It's probably the rain will start reaching in there at least. And Carl Rout says the rain has reached Plano. Yeah, I bet you it has, Carl. Thanks for that report, because that's that outflow from the storm that's stronger, that's over Frisco and up towards Melissa and McKinney. We got anybody on the floor here? No, we don't. Can I get somebody here? The thunderstorm that's over Frisco, let's look at the lightning on that. Because, you know, it kind of pulsed up and pulsed back down. Let's look at the purple, the VIL on that. You know, there's not much there. Let's look at the base reflectivity and see if we can see any outflow. Not real clear. So strong thunderstorm, and we'll keep an eye on it, but I don't think they'll extend the warning. They extended the warning on this one because of the strong thunderstorm over by Arlington. And this thunderstorm that is moving over Arlington and I-30, that's got some lightning to it. That's got some strong winds to it. And we're going to keep an eye on that. The largest hail being reported, ground truth, is this coming out of this storm. 1.5 inch size hail in Brock being reported. So that's large hail. And look at the lightning clustering up again. And I was telling you that, you know, that's the circulation really going. And that continues to be concerned. Now, it kind of split. If you notice, the outflow on the south end split out from this this tail was trying to form, and now it's split apart. So it might be one of the outflows, one of the downdrafts kind of broke it apart a little bit. That's good news, by the way. It's good news as far as any kind of other threat. But it is also showing that the hail threat is likely picking up. I'm just going to do something. I never show this. It's called ZDR, and that kind of is showing me, I know there's a lot of colors there to read, but it's showing me a little bit of, I'm trying to get a little bit more signature on the hail. That's a little bit more signature on when the strong winds are. And that's not telling me much, quite honestly. Let's go over to DP hail. Not much of a signature, that's why. But the VIL of the total ice in the column estimated by the radar does show that there is some very large hail inside this core. Golf ball size, egg size hail, part of that. Well, the worst of the storm in Parker County moved north of Burleson. Great question. Great question, Sharon Berry. Thank you for that. Okay, Burleson. Yes. It's northern part of Burleson, probably more Crawley and Mansfield and Forest Hill and across parts of southern Tarrant County, probably, with this hail core. It's been moving almost directly east here over the last 30 minutes. It continues to be rather strong, though the outflow now seems to be stronger than the inflow. It might cut itself off. What I mean by that, I see that's the beauty about being on Facebook. We can kind of talk about this, and I'm sorry I have a tendency to teach as I do, but so what I mean by that, the outflow cuts it off. You see that right there? That's really cold air behind it. I just circled. All right, and what's happening is it's kind of getting ahead on the southern edge of the storm. You see that? That's a really strong winds. And as it gets out ahead of the storm, you know what happens? That warm southeast air that's been being pulled into the storm, feeding the storm. Remember, water vapor is gasoline for storms. It's getting cut off by the cold air coming across that, and it diminishes the storm. And sometimes that's when all the hail drops out too. So all of a sudden you have a big hailstorm of mostly moderate-sized hail. They're getting reports of penny-sized hail up for this thunderstorm up here that's over Ben Grayson, crossing the Red River, and fortunately leaving. No indication they're going to put out a warning for Collin County for the thunderstorm coming across you. That's just a strong thunderstorm giving you much needed rain. And the warning that's out for parts of Dallas County is because of this storm in Arlington. Your warning goes on till 9:30, so it's going to go on for a while longer, another hour. But it also is something that's developing, and something that's probably getting stronger over the next 15 minutes. That's a pretty good hail signature, golf ball size hail over coming in on Arlington. So we'll keep an eye on that. But when I zoom out and show you VIL density, you can see there's really two main storms here. The two main storms are the one that's over Arlington and the one that's over Parker County, southern Parker County, getting ready to go into southern Tarrant County, over by Benbrook, because we know we've seen hail from that one, reports of hail from that one, of large hail, and the radar was indicating that hail was 1.5 inches. And earlier, when I say earlier, 20 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, they were getting reports from that storm. Yeah, 20 minutes ago, of 1.2 inch hail. So that's large hail. That'll do damage. And that's always a concern. Hail and damaging winds are a big threat tonight. Hail and damaging winds. I'll zoom out. Look at all those warnings out right now. All those warnings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 warnings. Dallas County is included for this warning. And again, we're seeing, the storm is increasing. There's the outflow boundary. There's the hail core. It's moving east, northeast, maybe more east, but headed towards downtown Dallas and be there rather shortly. Let's put a track on it. It was moving about 30 miles an hour, so maybe a little more. So that puts it, as we'll skinny down that list a little bit. That puts it in Dallas at 912 downtown Dallas. Thank you, Shelley. Sometimes I just go on and on. This is meteorologist Jeff Ray. We're going live on Facebook for CBS 11 from our studios in Fort Worth. And we've been covering a severe weather outbreak that's been going on for the last couple of hours. Now, this outbreak has been mostly with hail and damaging winds. Jason just called. He's not going to be able to catch that thunderstorm that's over by Benbrook. That's fine. But we'll watch that stuff come over and coming out of the west, out of Lake Worth. But
is there any way I can do promos?
yeah. Let's take a break and we'll do promos. I was starting, obviously a television station is a lot of moving parts, and we have a 10 o'clock show. So we're 20 minutes till 8 o'clock, and what we have to do is tape some promos. So what I have to do, what I want to do here is we're going to go off Facebook for a little bit. And I will watch, while we're off Facebook, I will watch this thunderstorm moving into Tarrant County. And if it continues to be a threat, we'll come back on, okay? But right now, it looks like it is something to be concerned about. So let's break from Facebook, and then we will come back probably later before we go on to 10 and update you on what's going on, all right? And we'll try to get a little business done here around the weather. Thank you, guys.